I don't think people realize what a massive opportunity we have here now that LSAC just nuked an entire third of the LSAT. Today, I'm going to share with you how you can leverage the removal of LSAT logic games to get a 175 or above if you're taking the LSAT in August 2024 or beyond. For those who don't know me, my name is Steve Schwartz, and I personally increased my LSAT score from a 152 to a 175 on LSAT test day. And the great news for you is that because LSAC has removed the logic game section starting in August 2024, there's going to be less material for you to study. They've doubled the logical reasoning section in response. You can narrow your focus, and any gains you make in your understanding of logical reasoning will be doubled across the two sections. Used to be, you had to study logic games and logical reasoning and reading comprehension. They've deleted logic games. They added that second scored logical reasoning section, and logical reasoning, like the rest of the test, is a test of pattern recognition. LSAC has a limited bag of tricks, and they test those tricks again and again and again, and they keep repeating themselves, and they keep reusing old stuff because they're lazy and because students keep falling for it. If you were to review your mistakes in sufficient depth, you would be better able to spot those tricks and avoid them and get a higher score. If you were previously distracted by logic games because your scores were lowest there, you had to divide your focus between games and reasoning and reading comp, you couldn't go as deep on logical reasoning. But with logic games removed, you could take all that extra time and devote it to studying logical reasoning, and as a result, your score in logical reasoning will improve. You narrow your focus there, you can double the improvements that you're going to make in logical reasoning. There are 15 different types of logical reasoning questions, depending on how you count them. Some are more common than others. If you want to further leverage this opportunity, you want to focus on the lowest hanging fruit, namely the most common logical reasoning question types: necessary assumption, inference, and flaw. The least common types, like parallel reasoning, parallel flaw, evaluate the argument, those are distractions. Don't get bogged down on the rare types that hardly ever come up if you still haven't mastered the most common types. There are 58 numbered practice tests with the new LSAT format. Majority of them are logical reasoning sections, of course, so you have literally thousands of LSAT questions you can study from and learn. And even if you only did a tenth of those exams, that would be sufficient for you to make massive gains, provided you understood those exams inside out and you were getting perfect 180s on all of those. And so if you're worried about using up limited practice material, know that there is still tons of value in reusing and redoing those old tests, because unless you would get a perfect 180 on those exams upon redoing them, there is still some lesson to be gained from reviewing them. Now, aside from the removal of logic games and aside from the doubling of logical reasoning, rather than LSAC choosing to add some radical new question type, you have all this old material to study from. Additionally, you should also know that there's another massive opportunity most students are not aware of, which is that it has become much easier to get extra time accommodations on the LSAT relative to years past. LSAC just released a new report revealing how liberal they've become in granting extra time. It used to be LSAC would approve only 70% of extra time requests. They got sued by the federal government several times under the Americans with Disabilities Act. Another lawsuit, by the way, is responsible for having removed the logic game section from the test after LSAC settled that one, but that's a story for another time. Because LSAC got sued so many times for not granting accommodations for extra time and similar, they swung the pendulum the other way. They are now approving 98% of requests by their own admission. This means basically, if you fill out the forms correctly, you dot your I's, you cross your T's, you'll get whatever you ask for, provided you have that doctor's note from a doctor, psychiatrist, psychologist, what have you. If you can get this qualified professional, in LSAC's words, to diagnose you with ADHD, testing anxiety, or similar, you can get time and a half, you can get double time, you can get triple time. So rather than this time constraint of 35 minutes per section, you can get 53 minutes per section, or 70 minutes per section, or 105 minutes per section, or beyond. LSAC used to be too strict, denying folks who rightly deserved accommodations. Now they've become overtly liberal in granting accommodations to whoever can get that doctor's note. And so this is a massive opportunity for you going forward if you've been finding that your testing anxiety or your ADHD or similar are preventing you from achieving your fullest potential on the LSAT. All you've got to do is get those forms in order, submitted to LSAC in time by the deadline, and you can get the extra time that you need to perform at your best. Anyway, folks, that's all for now. In the meantime, I wish you all the best and take care.